Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is me, Jordan Young, and this is another Bussin' Certified Hood Classic, no cap on God. Today, I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on the Air Jordan 4 Undefeateds. Now, in true sneakernomics fashion, this review is coming to you a little bit late. The shoe released at the back end of July, waited to the back end of August to get a wider release, and at this point, you guys are probably sick to death of seeing this shoe, but I am still nonetheless going to give you guys my thoughts. So they first released at the end of July via the Undefeated EQL raffle. Then Undefeated had a website release, I think right at the start of August. There was a subsequent Sneakers Pass, Nike Sneakers app event in Paris. And then we all played the waiting game, waiting for the inevitable Sneakers app release. All the while, prices were still remaining high. Here in the UK last week, we had exclusive access wheel outs at the start of the week, and then towards the back end of the week, we had a shock drop. I managed to come up on my pair thanks to the shock drop, which wasn't actually that difficult for people to come up on. So I am very happy to have secured these for retail, even though the price point was a little bit more exorbitant than it usually is at £210. I do think the release was pretty good in the sense that it was an Undefeated exclusive and a Nike Sneakers app exclusive. So before we dive into the details of this specific retro, let's just quickly recap the history of the shoe and speak to just why this thing is so hyped up and so legendary. It goes back to 2005, where Jordan Brand collaborated with Undefeated on what was at that time an unprecedented thing. Jordan Brand had never done a collaboration with a retail partner before. They only did 72 pairs, which was in honor of the Bulls 96-97 season, where they went 72-10, a record that would stand for a long period of time until the Warriors eclipsed it, like a decade ago or so now. And so only 72 pairs of these were ever in existence up until around 2017-18, I think, when there were a whole bunch of other samples that were created and floated and resold. And so because of the legendary history of this being like the original Jordan collaborative shoe, coupled together with the fact that the colorway is just fire with the Undefeated signature green and safety orange, and the fact that there were only 72 pairs made meant that these shoes have been reselling in the aftermarket for crazy money. 15k, 20k. I think I even saw someone pay maybe £40,000 for a pair of these 4 or 5 years ago or something. This has been one of the holy of holy grails of Air Jordans, and yeah, now here they are. So the packaging is pretty cool. It's that throwback 2005 era silver box. You've got the Undefeated co-branding featuring alongside the nostalgic throwback branding from the boxes of that era. Very nice box. And so breaking down the shoe, the majority of the upper is comprised of this really nice nubuck suede, which features in this olive green colorway. You've also got olive green on the netting, on the side, as well as on the tongue, with the same type of green mesh underlay. You do get a little bit of contrast with some black hits that feature through the wings, as well as the eyelets, as well as on the laces, and then on the tongue patch. Parts of the midsole are black as well. The heel tab is black. Like, that contrast is really clean. You've also got a nice bit of contrast with the off-white creamy midsole. It's almost like Jordan Brand were way ahead of the time back in 05, giving us the creamy midsole even way back then. You also get some hits of safety orange, which is basically the whole Undefeated signature color blocking. This is featuring in the Jumpman that comes on the tongue label as per usual. You also get the Undefeated orange around the back, which also has a little bit of an Undefeated patch sewn in. The material on the tongue is a little bit different, actually. It's kind of like a shiny, almost like a Kevlar type material, which is kind of cool. And then the liner of the shoe features in like a bit of a gray color. You also get some orange hits on the bottom with the herringbone traction pod in the forefoot in orange, as well as the Nike Air branding. And then inside the air bubble is orange as well. You get some more co-branding on the insole with the Undefeated logo as well as the Nike Air logo. And you get an extra set of orange laces, which do look really nice when they are installed. These also come with the Undefeated hang tag, which I think is pretty cool. And one of the cool features of this shoe here is the rare air patch, which you can remove to reveal the rare air underneath. And I will just quickly, for all of our benefits, remove both of them just to make sure that we don't have any dodgy QC in the rare airs. So yeah, we don't. The rare airs are both looking cool. And this was another dope feature from the undefeateds that we'd first seen play out on the Tour Yellows. Right, so let's talk a little bit about the quality and the QC, because with this release I have seen a few people out there complaining about the QC on their pairs, whether it's glue marks, whether it's stitching, whether it's like scuffs or scrapes or stains. Obviously we've spoken a little bit about on this channel the rare air QC issues, which have been yeah, a little bit wild. My specific pair is pretty clean in terms of the QC. Just looking around the edges where the midsole joins to the upper, where you generally get some glue marks going on, these seem to have been put together pretty cleanly. There are like one or two little splooges here and there, but generally speaking, yeah, it's clean. In terms of the stitching, there's nothing that I can see that's out of whack with the stitching. These seem to have been stitched together really well. The shape is really nice. The rare airs are fine. Heel tabs are straight. I would say the QC on my particular pair, it's not flawless, but it's a good solid like 9.5 out of 10. In terms of the fits and the comforts, modern day Jordan 4s seem to have a little bit of extra room around the toe box if you go true to size. And so I would say the same is true for these. I went true to size like I do with Air Jordan 4s in the modern era, and there's just a tiny little bit of wiggle room in the toe box, which I really like. In terms of the comfort, they're Jordan 4s. They're a little bit firm. They're not, you know, the nicest ride. They're a little bit chunky, a little bit heavy. They're not going to be the preferred shoe of choice if you're going to be walking miles and standing on your feet all day, but they're absolutely fine. Right, so let's talk a little bit about the resale, because this is a shoe that I have been following with great interest over the past month, because I'd pretty much resigned myself to the fact that I was probably going to need to pay resale for these things. And so I've been staying patient, waiting for the Sneakers app release to go down. At the start of the month, at the start of August, these things were going for over 600 pounds, which is like 800 bucks. That was after the first website drop, the first raffle drop. Now, a month later, these things are now selling for 300 pounds, which is like significantly less. If you wanted to cop them after fees, in my size, a US 10.5, you're looking at 295 pounds plus fees on top, 330 quid. So about 120 pounds or maybe like 200 bucks over retail. So these certainly have a lot of demand about them. There is you know, a genuine amount of fervor out there for these particular shoes. But the good news is that they're not wild. Like, these prices aren't crazy. Yes, there is a bit of a premium to pay if you wanted to get your hands on these, but like I said at the top of the episode, this is one of the sneakers of the entire year for a lot of people. You guys know I like to talk about collectability on this channel as a sneaker collector. I feel like this shoe was made for collectors. I feel like Nike have decided to go into the vault to bring back these grails, mainly for the sneakerheads out there. One of the big complaints that a lot of sneakerheads in the culture have been making over the past 5 or 6 years as sneaker culture has blown up has been the lack of accessibility. It's been the annoyance with the resale culture, who have pretty much held our passion to ransom by just getting in the way of us being able to cop for retail. I really feel like these shoes have been brought back for the sneakerheads. Other people out there that are on the periphery of sneaker culture aren't gonna know the history of the undefeated 4s, or even understand why this shoe is so significant in the story of sneaker culture. And so this, for a collector, or as a collector, is like the shoe to have. Now, this shoe has also continued to egg on the debate around whether or not it's good for Nike to bring back these types of grails. Does this sully or diminish the legend that is the Air Jordan 4 undefeated? Does it take away from the culture for these things to have been made so widely available to the point where when you see them in the wild now, you're not going to be mouth agape and completely astonished? You're going to be like, oh yeah, there's another pair of undefeated 4s walking around. Now, that debate is going to continue to rage on. I've personally softened to it a lot as the sort of inevitability of Nike going down this route has pretty much dawned on me. Now that I'm holding these in hands and now that I'm seeing them in person, I can't help but feel really happy to finally own a pair. And the fact that I might see someone else out in the streets wearing these doesn't actually make me think anything less of them. In fact, it actually makes me quite happy to know that there are going to be so many other people out there being able to enjoy these. The other thing as well is that these aren't like a strict one-to-one copy of the original 05s. You've got the Nike Air on the back, you know, you've got the updated shape, they're a slightly different color. You know, like if you still have the 05 undefeateds, that shoe is going to continue to remain special. And so are they worth the resale price? Are they worth the hype? Yes, I think if you wanted to cop a pair of these, now is the time. I think prices on these will probably go up a little bit as we get into the fall and winter season, because this is a brilliant fall winter colorway. It's just a very wearable colorway in general, given it's the olive green. Yeah, it's a clean shoe, man. I think if you want to strike, should probably jump into the market for them like now. Over the next week or so, prices will probably jump up after that. And so is this the retro of the year? I don't know, man. Like, we've still got some bangers left to go, man. We've got Tokyo's coming out this month, but yeah, what a crazy year of releases, just to think about all the heat that has dropped this year. This is arguably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, releases to come out this year from a retro standpoint, that being a shoe we have actually seen in the past. Crazy that these have been made so widely available, and the fact that they're only reselling for like 300 pounds is brilliant. So yeah, I'm loving them. What are you guys thinking? Are you loving your pair? Are you hating that they brought these back again? Let me know your thoughts down below. And as always, I appreciate you guys messing with the content. I'll see you on the next one. Take care for now, and peace.